We have a lot of books to get through today. This is a huge book haul including graphic novels, comics, and a few art books. So if you're looking for a new, interesting graphic novel to read or something to inspire you, then this is the video for you. This first one I just received the other day. It was a pre-order. It's called Skin, a lyrical portrait of two women in search of themselves. Feeling adrift after her daughter leaves the nest, Rita makes the audacious move to model nude for a live drawing class. There she meets Esther, an artist who sees beyond the superficial and captures people's true essences in her drawings. The two connect as kindred spirits, and their unexpected yet endearing relationship teaches them to accept their eccentricities and feel comfortable in their own skin. So this is a pretty large hardcover graphic novel. And one of the things that caught my attention with this book is simply the art. It is beautiful. It has a limited color palette, mainly of green with bits of yellow and red. Very interesting illustration style. Some pages are stunning full color illustrations, and then other pages that have so many intricate drawings on one page. I'm really looking forward to reading this one. The story also sounded interesting, but I can't say much about the story yet since I haven't read it, but based on the artwork alone, I would recommend checking this one out. The next book I got by Laura Perez. Within our visible world, there are hidden worlds full of unknown forces whose nature we cannot fathom. An array of stories that illuminate these occult intrusions upon our everyday lives. A hypnotherapy session sparks visceral visions. An ethereal presence proves oddly comforting to a lonely widower. Ominous red lights flash across the night sky. Vivid dreams, poignant symbols, fleeting sensations, all tantalizing glimpses into what lies beyond. It's interesting how this is a horizontal format. You don't see that a lot in graphic novel books, which honestly makes it a little awkward to hold, but it probably suits the flow of the story more. So I was intrigued by this one by the story occult nature. It has a little bit of a darker illustration style to it. Also a limited color palette, which I happen to really love the colors in here. We've got teals, reds, beige, really beautiful illustration work. And look at these portrait illustrations, beautiful. I love these black and white full page illustration spreads. So if you're interested in occult's dreamy symbolic story, this might be a good one to check out. Another book I received recently in the mail, Vanishing Act by Roman Muradov. A series of interconnected acts, each drawn and written in a different style from comedy and confession, prophecy and interactive dance. A dream in comic form, a letter to all things avant-garde. A story of lust and companionship, artifice and reality, everything and nothing, order and chaos, dates and etc. Based on the table of contents, this looks like it is a compilation of perhaps 13 different comic stories. Each one is introduced as an act, so here's Act 2, Speculations on a Mild Street. I was intrigued by the art style of this one. I love these full page spreads that combine the use of hand lettering and spot illustration really beautifully. I love the chaotic nature, yet it still feels very cohesive. There's also much busier spreads like this one with a lot more text, but it's nicely balanced. It looks like there's a good mixture of style here, some done with marker, painting, and there's even some more cleaned up digital version styles too. This is interesting, this text-filled spread. So I'm very interested to see how this weaves together into a story. Next book is Fab Four Mania, A Beatles Obsession and the Concert of a Lifetime by Carol Tyler. This is adapted from a diary she created in 1965. Fab Four Mania chronicles a formative year when four British lads awakened young Carol's senses and opened up to the world beyond small-town Fox Lake, Illinois, brimming with rich period details, gorgeous full-color illustrations, generational confusion, cheeky humor, and teenage camaraderie. The ever-exuberant Tyler guides us through her obsessive devotion to the Beatles, which includes a first-hand account of their park concert in Chicago on August 20th. So this is more of a visual diary. There's a lot more text, and the illustrations take up larger full pages, and then there's some that follow in the diary sections. I love the contrast from handwriting to typewriter hand lettering on the illustrations. There's a lot of different styles here, from ballpoints. Obviously, if you're somewhat of a fan of the Beatles, then you will find this more interesting, but I love things that are done on popular culture from another time. There's a nice sense of nostalgia to it. This is a book I pre-ordered, received it the other day, and also just read it. I Ate the Whole World to Find You maps the topography of trauma, treasures, and loss imposed into the body of Jenny with stunning realism and lavish imagination. The artwork in this book is amazing. I'm not sure if this was done traditionally or digitally or a combination of both, but it very much looks like it's done in pencil, and there's a lot of striking contrast between the bold, dark lines and a lot of shading that is used even on the face of all of the people. Stylistically, it is impressive, but I will admit I did get a little lost in the story, so I'll probably have to reread it. And a little bit of a warning, there are mature themes in here, but it is an adult graphic novel. So if you're into weird stories or things that don't quite make sense, then this might be up your alley. This is also a book I pre-ordered and just received the other day. It has this die-cut window on the cover, which peeks into clouds on the interior cover page. I did already read this one, and it's not a continuous story. It's more a compilation of multiple comics, each one lasting about 1 or 2 pages. They all have to do with the topic of overthinking. Emotions can be tricky to navigate. We overthink, we second guess, and we can't get out of our own way. But the reality is, it's impossible to understand our complicated feelings fully. So fear not, you've come to the right place. Thinking About Thinking, the latest collection of 1- and 2-page haiku-like comics from Grant Snyder, explores our inner life using colorful illustrations and clever visual metaphors to depict the spectrum of our emotions. Facing self-doubt, grappling with indecision, Snyder doesn't present solutions to these challenges, but he does inspire and encourage, offering thoughtful reassurance and a unique, humorous perspective that's characteristic of his work, an approach that resonates with millions of readers all over the world. It's a pretty quick read. You can probably complete it in about an hour. So if you just want something fun and lighthearted to read with more of a cartoon style, then check out this one. The Confessional by Paige Hender. This is also a new book that I pre-ordered. So this is relating to vampires and taking place in New Orleans in 1922. So a different time period. Love visual books that are of another time just because they're so visually interesting. But the main reason I got it was because of the illustration style. It's very clean and digital and with a limited color palette, mostly of blue, red, and pink. So if vampires from the early 1900s interests you, check this one out. This next one is more of an art book, Digital Painting Made Simple by Sarah Tepes. She also makes YouTube videos. I'll leave a link to her channel. She creates beautiful portrait artwork, and she recently came out with this book on digital painting for portraits. So it's more of an instructional book, and it focuses on Clip Studio Paint, Procreate, and Photoshop. Art instruction books can kind of be hit or miss, because most of the time I would rather see something like this in a video tutorial, but sometimes it does help to have it in a book format and be able to consume it at a slower pace while you're doing the work. So I will definitely be going through this and following through with some of the exercises. So if portrait drawing, digital painting is something that you are interested in learning more about, this might be helpful, or at least check out her YouTube channel. This is another art instructional book. It's called Art with Markers by Angela Pan. This is a step-by-step guide to creating vivid landscapes and cityscapes with acrylic pens. So I love to use Posca markers, but I don't honestly know how to use them most effectively to create beautiful art like this. And I love her style and wanted to learn more about it. So I definitely will be following along with some of these exercises. I think my favorites are the ones with more blue and purple color palettes, and it tells you all the colors you need in order to create all the illustrations. I would say the only thing I'm disappointed to learn is that a lot of these mention that you need more than one brand. Like I use predominantly Posca markers, but I guess there's another brand. I've never used Molotow markers, so if you have, let me know what your experience has been like and if you recommend it. So I will have to pick up some of those markers when I do some of these exercises. So if you're interested in creating vivid, colorful landscapes or cityscapes like this, then this would be a fun one to follow along with. Next is a graphic novel called Precious Rubbish by Kayla Ease. Maybe deep down, Kayla realizes she's not here for me. It hurts that she moved so far away. Contacting me once in a great while is not the same as actually being here for me. Taking a quick break from work and asking how I'm doing doesn't give a realistic perception of the severity of my health issues and what my life is like on a daily basis. If she spent a little time with me, it would help her better understand my life. If my mother had to live in government housing, endure almost 8 years of severe bullying, harassment, verbal and emotional abuse, and traumatization, including threats of physical harm to her little dog, I would do everything in my power to protect her and move her to a safer place. I live in this hellish environment in addition to dealing with my severe health issues, which have progressively gotten worse, and it's even more painful because I have to deal with it alone. This one I went out on faith when I decided to purchase it. I did get it directly from the publisher, which meant that it has a signed book plate here, even has the date stamp. And it also came with this little booklet of a mini comic. Style, it's not normally something that I would be interested in, but I was intrigued by how it was executed because it's very simple digital artwork, limited color palette. It's very cohesive. So we'll see how this one goes. Seems a little bit quirky and different for me. For this one, I was intrigued by the story, the cover illustration, also really impressive art style. It seems to have a much more mature and really interesting storyline. So I'm curious what the story will be like for this one. Next is Curses by George Wylesol. Really interesting color palette. It is very simple, minimal, clean drawings, but it's also contrasted with these nice textured backgrounds. So it almost has a little bit of a vintage vibe to it as well. And I know he has a few different graphic novels out, so I'm gonna read this one first, see how I feel about it before I dive into the others. It is a collection of short comics. Within you'll find a talking church, prophecies on television, a haunted dumpster, a grinning intern, an endless hospital, a magician, a trip through heaven and hell, the most powerful realtor you'll ever meet, illicit substances of the distant future, an executioner, a live-streamed cremation, a gallon of bleach, evil wishes, solemn utterances, blasphemous words, coal and cake. These are curses, a series of prayers for harm to befall someone. There isn't actually a lot of text that's weaved into the comics, more so as little bits of paragraphs here and there. So this is more visual versus written story. I am very curious of the story, but love the artwork. This is a pretty short graphic novel, about 150 pages. I read it a couple months ago. It's primarily black and white, simple, typical comic style illustration. Olive is spending the summer before art school at a coveted internship, helping one of the fashion industry's elite digital imaging specialists. After a glamorous photo shoot, she learns that taking pictures is only the first step. Next come the violent verbs, cut, crop, slice, lasso of retouching software. And that's before she discovers the secrets behind virtual models. Soon, Olive is fixating on her own appearance and pondering the ethics of work behind the scenes. As college gets closer, she'll try to get out of her head, attempt to quit the internet, and finally embrace image making on her own terms. I was really intrigued by the story in this one. It is taking place in an earlier time, I think maybe early 2000s, at a time when Photoshop was starting to be used more, especially for advertising, modeling. And it talks about a lot of really deep issues with how retouching these images really affected her own mindset and how she viewed herself. So I think it's a great story for women to read, anyone, but it's told from a woman's perspective about the expectations of women's body and beauty standards. So it's not my favorite illustration style. It leans on the more simpler, cartoony style, but great storytelling. Next is Milk Without Honey by Hannah Harms. This is a beautifully illustrated book about what the world would be like without bees. There's not a lot of words or storytelling to it. It's mostly visual, but it is still beautiful. So if you love the subject of bees or just want something beautiful to inspire you, check this one out. Next is The Native Trees of Canada by Leanne Shapton. I think this is a great book for inspiration, especially colors. These are all paintings of various trees, and there's a lot of beautiful color palettes. So if you're looking for inspiring neutral color palettes, check this one out. Next is Walk Me to the Corner by Amélie Fremark. This one I picked up secondhand at Green Apple Books in San Francisco. So I took a chance on this one. I didn't know anything about the author. The price was good. I think the style is really interesting. There's a lot of big events that happen in this book that really caught me off guard. I had no idea that was included. I don't want to spoil it or give anything away, but so if you've never heard of this book or illustrator, check it out. It is really interesting. Next is When to Pick a Pomegranate by Yasmin Abedafard. In this collection of contemplative and cathartic short comics, the pomegranate Anar and the woman Gully exist as reflections of each other, repellent to one another and yet inexorably drawn together once more. As they evolve through each story, proceeding through the stages of the plant life cycle, they take on new roles: muse and artist, gardener and seed, lover and fruit. The iterations reveal new revelations, exploring the themes of shame, grief, destiny, and survival at each turn. Yasmin is actually an instructor for the comics program at an art school in San Francisco, and she was also the instructor for my Intro to Comics class. So I got to spend a few weeks working with her on comics, and at the end I brought her book to class and asked her to sign it, so got it personalized here. Honestly, I don't know anything that I could compare this story or style to. Very unique. Stylistically, I love what's going on. There's so many interesting textures and colors and things going on here. The story is a little bit more on the abstract side, so if you like that, some people might like more literal storytelling, but this is more abstract and reflective. There's not a lot of words in some of the stories, but if you're looking for something truly unique and different, I would recommend checking out Yasmin's work. This I picked up secondhand from same used bookstore. Never heard of this book or this illustrator, and I took a chance on this one purely because I was so fascinated by black and white and gray tones of the graphite drawings, interesting portrait drawings. The job of the skin is to keep it all in. On the island of here, living's easy, conduct is orderly, lawns are neat, citizens are clean-shaven, and Dave is the most fastidious of them all. Dave is bald, but for a single hair. He loves drawing, his desk job, and the bangles. But on one fateful day, his life is upended by an unstoppable, yet pretty impressive beard. Really interesting, maybe a little bit of magic and mystery to it. So I look forward to reading this, but love the style. Next is another art book. This is called The Golden Era of Sign Design. I found out about this book from the last quarterly release of the Field Notes notebook, where they did an edition based on these sign designs. And so once I saw that they had a book, I knew I wanted to get it because I love signage and these process books where you get to see the sketches behind the signs compared with the final painted art. It's just visually so inspiring for me. I love painted typography and hand lettering. This is purely for inspiration. If you like vintage sign art, then check this one out. This is Naked City by Eric Drucker. This one I picked up at the City Lights bookstore in San Francisco, and I saw that it was a signed edition, which I love. And I could tell from the cover that it would be a subject I was interested in. On the edge of the city, three bohemians struggle to answer the question, is it possible to survive as an artist in the 21st century? A young singer with no family hitchhikes to the city and sings her heart out. Late one night, she encounters a street dancer who inspires her to have faith in her music, no matter the cost. Desperate for rent money, she poses for a painter who has shifted from landscapes to nudes, and both of them learn a thing or two about the purpose of art and the meaning of success. This is much more clean and modern. I love the limited color palette of this blue and black, and then later on introduces a beige color, and then it kind of goes back and forth. So beautiful illustrations. interesting story idea. This is pretty new. It came out last year. Next is I Thought You Loved Me by Mari Naomi. This is more of a photo book. It kind of reminds me of zines. It's less illustrative, more like photocopied written notes and illustrations. So a bit of a different visual style. Jody was Mari's best friend through their teens and 20s. As young Mari began to explore her identity as a bisexual, biracial outsider in a rich white town, Jody was her constant confidant, even kissing Mari out of the closet. The two were inseparable as they sought to gain a foothold in life and love as young feminists. Jody, an entrepreneurial sex worker, and Mari working in the boys' club of video game development in the late 90s. Then, suddenly and mysteriously, Jody ended their friendship. Years later, Mari was stunned when she discovered why. Now, much older, Mari is ready to forgive, but her memories of Jody seem to have vanished. I bought this from a bookstore in San Francisco. The autobiographical nature of the story intrigued me, and also the fact that it's mainly taken place in the late 90s. So I'm curious to read this one. Next is The City of Belgium by Brecht Evans. This one is beautiful. It's so colorful. I love the rich vibrantness of all the colors. It looks like it's mainly painted. The artwork really caught my eye. The three careen through the city's nightlife spots and underbelly, getting ever deeper in the messiness of human existence as they chase pleasure. Each has a series of misadventures that reveal them to be teetering on the edge of becoming the people they'll be for the rest of their lives. The city of Belgium occupies a place between lucid dream and tooth-grinding nightmare. The way that lettering is used in this book is really interesting. The semi-cursive handwriting, very tight leading on it, but it's really beautiful. There's quite a few pages with minimal text, and then there's some pages that have a lot of the handwriting. There's so many intriguing layouts here, so I can't wait to read this one. So check this out if you're interested in Belgium city nightlife or just really colorful, vibrant artwork. Next is Spiral and Other Stories by Aidan Koch. I have read this one. I've seen some of Aidan's work online before. I love the minimal nature of it. It's so beautiful. There's a lot of abstract storytelling in this, so if that kind of storytelling appeals to you, then you might want to check it out. But if you're into more in-depth storytelling, you might not like it. I will say that I had one pet peeve in this book, which is the letter T in the handwriting. It kept tripping me up when I was reading the words. It doesn't look like any letter. It's like the second part of the crossbar on the T is missing. So that, I know it's like a nitpicky thing, but it really did interrupt the reading of the story for me. All done traditionally. If you just want something that's a little bit more on the inspiring side, then check this out. Next is My World Belongs to Me by Kaylee. Realizing that no trace of her inner self exists in her outer life, a young woman searches for a place that might reflect her internal world, an underwater city she vaguely remembers from childhood. Though she reaches it, she finds the ruined city just as desolate as her external reality, confronted with the fact that her own neglect caused the decay of what was once a sanctuary. She is forced to take responsibility for the person she is and the person she must become. This is a memoir, self-published graphic novel. So don't know how I think maybe I found her videos on YouTube and saw that she was working on a graphic novel. I think she initially self-published it through a Kickstarter campaign. I, however, was late, but I saw that she was selling copies on her website, so I reached out and purchased one. And when I did, I asked her to personalize it to me. So she wrote this lovely dedication in the inside of the book and a little drawing of an eye. The artwork is really beautiful. I got to see a lot of glimpses of her making this on her YouTube channel, so it's all painted traditionally. There's not a lot of words, so you will get through this story very fast, but visually it's stunning. So if you're looking to support a relatively new self-published graphic novel artist, then check out Kaylee's work. Okay, the last two. I'm really excited to share these two books because I actually just came back from a library book event where I got to meet both of the author-illustrators of these two books. I'll start with Raised by Ghosts by Brianna Lowenson. This is actually her second book, and I I have both of them, so I was able to get both of them signed in person. But this one just came out this year. I actually bought it directly from the publisher because they offered a free signed book plate, but then luckily I got to have it signed in person. This is a semi-autobiographical book based on Brianna's coming of age years going to high school in the 1990s. And of course, I just love things that are of that time or any other time. So there's a lot of excerpts from written notes of that time. There's a lot of pop culture references, bookstores, Bay Area. There's a lot of things that I personally love and connect with this. Actually, both of these graphic novel artists live in the Bay Area, and they're high school art teachers in Oakland. I love the style of her comics, and also for this one, like I said, the themes of the 1990s, vintage vibes. I highly recommend checking this one out, as well as her first book. Last but not least is Family Style, Memories of an American from Vietnam by Tin Pham. So at the event, I also purchased this book and got it personalized and signed. It was really great to hear a little bit more about both of the stories and the creation behind both of these books. Tin's first memory isn't a sight or a sound. It's the sweetness of watermelon and the saltiness of fish. It's the taste of the foods he ate while adrift at sea as his family fled Vietnam. After the Pham family arrives at a refugee camp in Thailand, they struggle to survive. Things don't get much easier once they resettle in California, and through each chapter of their lives, food takes on a new meaning. Strawberries come to signify struggle as Tin's mom and dad look for work. Potato chips are an indulgence that bring Tin so much joy that they become a necessity. Behind every cut of steak and inside every croissant lies a story, and for Tin Pham, that story is about a search for belonging, for happiness, for the American dream. All of his experiences told through food. That's one thing that he said at the talk, which is that he remembers things through food. I have not read this one yet. I have seen it at the library, so I was familiar with the cover, excited to check it out and to learn more about his work. And I really love the fact that both of them are local Bay Area native graphic novel artists. That was a huge book haul. So many books. Let me know, did any of these catch your interest? Are you excited to check any of them out? Leave a comment below. And if you still want more graphic novel recommendations, then check out this video next where I share 13 books that I bought in New York City bookstores.